starting.
Yeah, and hey everyone, how's things? I don't know, maybe Cliff, busy talking. I don't know if you're watching the Twitch stream version or something, are you? So just to see where that is a little bit behind. But I was just explaining off camera that I've upgraded OBS and also the main plugin that I use to this automatic scene switcher. So it plays that intro, that sort of countdown rather, and then it automatically switches to the intro video, and then it automatically switches to us three on the screen at the same time. But I have had to get a new version of that plugin to go with the new version of OBS that I've got. So anything could go wrong today. So actually that all worked. So other than us talking about it right at the very start. But anyway, hey everyone. Hopefully you can hear us and all those good things. I'm guessing that it should be okay. But thank you so much for coming along to IoTWalive tonight. I'm Pete Gallagher, or at Pete_codes. And then across to my, I don't know, on the screen, my left is Cliff Aegis. And then further along is Maria Anastasia Mustaka. So, yeah, thank you for coming along. So if you've not been before, then it's generally us three yabbling on about what's gone on in IoT during the week. And in fact, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the stuff that I've been doing with the Seed Studio reterminal and Octoprint and getting those two things up and running. It feels like if I was to read back over that blog that I've kind of been going down little windy roads, and I probably could have like got to some of these places that I've already got to now in a far faster way, but I wouldn't have learned as much, which is always the case.
But that's experience though, Pete. You often do that. You write 20 lines of code, delete 10 of them, write another 15, and then you realise that actually I could have done this in one line, but wouldn't have got that far without actually doing what you did.
Yeah.
Because you needed that experience to realise that actually is a quicker way to do things.
Yeah.
It's development, isn't it? It's the way it works. We all go down blind paths and come back, and eventually we find our way out of the maze.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, of course, you've like you've just said, you've gained the experience of going down that path as well. And often you'll find little bits while you're doing that you'll need later, or that and same as when the light bulb was created. It's not a case of it took me 1,000 goes. I just figured out 999 ways of how not to do it. And it's important.
Are you planning to, once you do have it working, you plan to write, because your current blog that you've got on screen at the moment is a live blog, isn't it? It's you're writing what you're doing, what you're thinking, how you're doing it, what's gone wrong.
Yes.
I've made a step forward here. Are you planning at the end to write a blog post that's going to be, sorry, I said on screen, it's on my screen, now it's on the screen on Twitch. How the sausage is made, in effect. Are you planning at the end to write a blog post that is going to say, this is how you do it? Like kind of a proper, this is how you do it, without everyone having to go through and work out kind of the full starts you've had? Or are you just going to let us read through your massive long blog post?
No, I'm going to delete this existing blog post and just never talk about it ever again.
I think it's great. It's a great blog post. I've read through large chunks of it and followed through. I've not had over the last day or two to kind of read up, but yeah, it's fantastic to see where you've gone, and some of them I was like, I thought I would have done the same. I would have made the same decision. Other bits it's like, oh, you could have tried that, and then you tried it later and that didn't work either. And it's like, it is, it's a great blog series. I hope Seed Studios promoted it for you, because it is an impressive bit of writing and detective work.
Yeah, thanks. And actually, that's one of the things that I specifically set out to do, was that I wanted to show the real process that I'd been through. Whereas, a regular blog post, like you've just said, it's curated and you edited and you remove every wrong step that you take to make yourself look perfect. Just like if you pre-record a training video or something, we edit out every single mistake, and trust me, there are heaps of them. And so I didn't want that. I wanted this to be live and show where I make mistakes and show my naivety for a lot of it as well. And geez, the last couple of days I've been struggling to get the config for Octoprint working properly, and that it seemed to be working, but I couldn't find the config.yaml file And even now, Fuzel, who's one of the lead devs on the Octoprint project, doesn't know why I can't find that file. There's absolutely no reason why. It's like magic. It's working, but the file isn't there, and none of the stuff that supports it is there either. So something is missing in my cognition for this. But Fuzel actually uses Windows to develop on as well, so it's not like it's a Windows thing. It's a Pete thing. There's something going wrong there somewhere. But either way, Fuzel gave me a workaround that you can set the location. And we'll go into this in a bit more detail, but you can set the location of that data directory in a command line as part of the launch settings. And then I did that and it all worked. So that was quite nice. If you've not been watching the last couple of episodes, then shame on you. But that aside, you need to go onto YouTube and go catch up on those two things. But what I've been doing is bringing Octoprint to this little re-terminal device. So if I pick it up, and hold it up to the camera, then this is the Seed Studio re-terminal, which is essentially a Raspberry Pi CM4, a Compute Module 4 with a touchscreen and some user buttons and a nice case, and it really is a nice piece of kit. And Seed very kindly sent me one, and every week we talk about this, and I see tears and long faces from Maria, Anastasia and Cliff, because they've not got theirs yet. But yeah, one day you will.
Still
you will.
in 2 weeks now. I'm not, saying anything to Seed Studios, but
in return for me doing what I'm doing here and working through this, so this is quite a long-winded answer to what you were saying there, actually. But to roll all the way back, one of the things I was thinking about tonight that will probably get produced off of this, depending, is either a single line install script. If you know me, I like my single line install scripts.
We like those.
Yes.
I use your Raspberry Pi one often.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I had a call from a chap at Microsoft who I knew ages and ages ago when I first started Knots IoT, the user group Knots IoT up. Paul Foster, he rang me asking about how we could get .NET onto a Raspberry Pi, and I said, I happen to have made it a single line install script and a bunch of blogs about that. So I pointed him in the direction of those, and he said, fantastic, and off he went. So so that I mean, and I've seen it used all over the place. I think it's a well used script, actually, but not having folks having to step through a whole heap of stuff that's fraught with danger, I think, is always the best way. So that, and we know that we can actually flash an image directly onto the re-terminal, because it's just a CM, a compute module. So I'll probably release an image for it that you can just flash straight on without having to set anything up. That would be my plan, as well as an accompanying blog post that tells you exactly how to do it as well. So that all
so where have you got to now? Now that you've worked out what this YAML file is, it's hiding from you. Yes. Where are we at the moment? You got it working? Have you got Octoprint on the screen? Is it where are we at?
Right. So all of this, actually, I've got a bunch of contents that I added at the start. So like day one to day what did I get to? Day one to, I don't know, what is it there? I think that running Octoprint from VS Code. That's where I got to by last week. So that was getting Visual Studio Code up and running with the.
We fixed that live on the stream, didn't we?
Yes, yep, yeah, and by request, and quite.
You can do it. Me and Maria Anastasia stepped in and fixed it for you.
Yeah, that's that exactly that. Yeah. That's right. Oh, in fact, look, looks like I need to edit my link because that's not actually taking me to the right place. But changing changing the Python interpreter. Look, there we go. So embedded that exact video in there. So that's us live debugging and getting that running. So there was lots of whoops and cheers with Cliff out of sync with his sound, which was interesting to watch. I did try and fix it in Camtasia, but it would have been a huge job. So I just gave up, and it is what it is. Hopefully the sound isn't out of sync today. So do shout in the chat if the sound's out of sync or if there's anything wrong, because look, we don't know unless you tell us. So we would like to constantly improve what we're doing. So please do shout up if there's anything wrong. But either way, I just explained how we could set the Python interpreter correctly because it wasn't using this venv one, which is the virtual environment we set up. So when it was running, it didn't run properly. So that was what we had to do to get that to work. So once we ran it and we accepted the firewall, then we were able to, once we figured that out, go to localhost port 5000 and it would run up. So at that point, you can run through the setup wizard. And actually, what's odd is that I think the version I've got on here is already out of date because the version I installed, and I'll get to this on the reterminal today, has got an extra step in here to be able to restore a backup, and this hasn't. So, and I don't know if that's because of how I've done it or what, but I noticed that extra step. But either way, yeah, you got to run through and do all of the setup, and I'm not going to dive into this. You can read the blog, and in fact, let me put the link to my blog on the screen. One sec. Oh, look at that. It's already the same as last week. So that should be that. And I'll put it in the chat as well. So you can follow along with it. It's quite a big, long blog post now. But follow along with that. And there's a bunch of stuff that you've got to set up, including the printer profile. Now, what's really cool about this is there's a virtual printer for Octoprint that you can set up. So if you're doing development like I'm doing here, actually on my main PC that's not going to be connected to my main printer, you can set it up with a virtual 3D printer and it will work just like a regular printer, only it won't print anything.
That's pretty cool. The fact you can do that.
Yeah, and even serial communications and everything. It's pretty cool, powerful tool, and great for testing edge cases on printers and stuff. But really, for me, it's just a mechanism for me to be able to get the whole thing running properly, so I can actually develop against it. So there's a few of these please reloads that was happening as well, and actually Foozle was looking at that to see if there's something that needs fixing there. It could be an edge case that I've managed to find. So there's a whole heap of stuff. Actually, I had to run through that setup process twice because of that. But I set the printer profile up, and then a bunch of these things, and then it ran. And then I selected the virtual printer and installed, went to the plugin manager to thinking I had to install it, but it was already there. And I needed to go to the virtual printer plugin options and just enable it. And once I did that, I could select the virtual COM port, and then it became operational. Do you either of you two use Octoprint? I can't remember now.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Two of my printers have got it. One hasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, two of them have got it. The one that hasn't is because I wanted to update the Raspberry Pi it was running on, and I did something to the SD card and crashed it all, and I've not had time to go back to it and sort it. But yeah, I like it because you can do snapshots and so little build video of it building once it's up there, and just like being able to send it from the Prusa slicer directly to the printer and don't need to worry about sort of taking SD cards out and plugging them in and yada yada. Yeah, it's really good.
And we still need. I think we still need to persuade Maria and Anastasia to buy a 3D printer, don't we?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Is it on the list of things you're going to buy, Maria and Anastasia, or is it?
Yes, it is. It is in the top of the list.
Top of the list.
Right. Yeah. Nice.
We know it's down on the Santa's list then.
Yeah.
Santa, these can I have?
Yeah. Exactly.
I write a Santa list every year. I do. I send Santa an email, aka my wife. Santa's list every year. I detail what I've done good, where I've been naughty, and what I should have done when I was naughty to not be naughty. And then I list out 10 things that I want in my little Santa sack. And I'm still waiting for the Aston Martin. I must admit, it's been there every year for too many years. But one day, you never know.
Did you write the word command on there?
It's getting close. It's getting close. Another couple of weeks.
Johnny Chips is here.
Hey, Johnny.
There he is. So he's no longer taking children to ice hockey on a Tuesday, which meant that he was in and out of reception trying to watch this, or at least listen to it live. Johnny Chips
still
is here.
managed to miss the beginning.
Yeah, we can't have everything. We can't have everything. So hey, Johnny Chips, you'll have to catch up on YouTube. That's what you'll have to do. Or I don't know. I don't think you can rewind the live stream, can you? So it is what it is. I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know. Can't remember.
I think so. Live, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose you can, but yeah, there you go. Anyway, where were we?
So yeah, got that up and running, installed. Look and see. Look, even like some fake messages that were coming from that that virtual printer. So that was pretty cool. I like that. Then I found a tutorial on creating plugins, because even now, actually, and my viewpoint may have changed slightly, and you'll see why. But I still think I'm going to need a plugin. But either way, it's still valuable to me to know how to make plugins. And actually, some of this was why I was struggling. But there's a really good plugin tutorial. So let me have a look. Where was it? Oh, so oh yeah, here we are. So the official documentation. So yeah, really great plugin tutorial. It takes you all the way through, and I've got part of the way through this plugin tutorial. So I've been detailing how I've been getting on with that, and for the most part, it was easy until it asked me to. I wonder what that was. Oh yeah, the Queen died, by the way. So that was really sad news. So I needed to insert that as an aside while I was working on this. So that was a sad day for the country and the Commonwealth and the UK and all of that. So yeah, but I got the plugin basics up and running, and it's Hello World, as it always is. And it gives you this little Hello World you can just see there in the middle. So spitting out Hello World to the console is a pretty good way to start your plugin development. And then it's there's these things called mix-ins, and you can hook in basically to various different parts of the Octoprint server. And so startup is one of them, and then plugin loaded and things like that you can do. And each of them have got special responsibilities. And so I've detailed that at the top of this blog post, but this one's using that startup plugin mixin. Something called Cookie Cutter that I hadn't heard of before, which I think is more to do with Python, but actually it seems as though it could be used elsewhere, where it's creating like project templates, and it's like cutting it out using a cookie cutter. So it's like a template that will spin up various different things for you automatically. So I'd not heard of that before either, but that sounded like something that was quite cool. So you needed to install that to be able to use it, to be able to then create the scaffolding for the plugin. So it would create you like a settings and the JS folder with some JavaScript in it, and the basic underscore init .py file, which is crazy naming. I'd need to look where that naming came from, because that's just crazy naming. But that's the main file that you do all of your work in. And so I've just been detailing how I've been running through the blog. So there's my Octoprint Hello World folder that I created in there. See, there's the sort of scaffolded files with my Octoprint Hello World in there. And then you delete some stuff, and then I've been trying to like keep track of the days while I've been doing this as well. So I've got some idea about how many days I've been working on this. So it's interesting, but I worked so far down, and then it wanted me to make a modification. Basically, it added a little Hello World thing to the top of the interface. So I think I get that. There we are. So I made a mistake there. So Hello World, and you can click it, and it takes you to the Wikipedia page for Hello World, which is great. But then the next part of the tutorial wanted us to be able to add the ability to be able to save the settings in a config file, this config.yaml. And you go into the config.yaml file, which is all of the settings for all of Octoprint, and you add an extra line in there specifically for your plugin, which should be quite easy. And according to all the documentation, it should be in your app data roaming directory in a directory called Octoprint. But that directory didn't even exist for me. And I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't in roaming, local, low, any of those places. In the root of the C drive, in the the repo directory anywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I created it and tried that, and none of that worked. And I spent probably maybe a couple of days on and off trying to figure it out. And look, this is all of my experimentations, trying to figure out where the heck this is, including even setting breakpoints in the code. And again, we were talking just offline before we started about the fact that the reason why I've done the blog post this way is I wanted to show that, this isn't some edited, curated way of doing it. This is how I've got to these places, and I've gone down dead ends, and I've had to figure things out. And so, putting breakpoints in the code and having a look how the settings are loaded and saved. And then, obviously, the great thing about VS Code is you've got peek and inspect so that you can see the value of variables. And I could see that it was actually trying to load that config.yaml file from where I thought it was supposed to be. But when you go there, there's nothing. And yet I was able to save settings and see them change, and I could stop Octoprint and load it back up again. And it would theoretically actually load those files in, but I would get nothing.
They weren't hidden or anything like that. They weren't, not hidden files. It's not, could you find them if you went there in the DOS prompts, command prompt, DOS prompts? How old am I? Yeah.
No, I tried everything, and I thought maybe because it's in a virtual environment, I thought, well, maybe does it do something funny with your documents? Or does it create like
is it grabbing? It's not virtualizing that.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So yeah. I opened up Visual Studio Code, and when you open up a terminal in there, it opens it up in that virtualized environment. And so then I went and had a look, and I was thinking, this is it. This is what the problem is. And there were still no files there. So I literally got no idea. But while I was doing this, and by the way,
but it works. So don't worry, move on and ship it.
Yeah, no, because it didn't, unfortunately. Well, it worked, but I couldn't configure my plugin, so it was useless it working. But while I was doing this, and obviously I keep a really good eye on stuff on Twitter, and I'm always searching for IoT stuff. But specifically, I was searching for like how I'd go about making the Octoprint interface responsive, and I found this blog post here on how to add an Octoprint touchscreen to any 3D printer, and look how cool that looks. I don't know, it does. It's awesome. So it's a full detail here about, and there's a video there to watch. But you choose the touchscreen. They chose a 320 by 240 one, so quite a low res one. But for what they were doing, it was fine. And then detailed about how to print the housing, which I think is a really good idea. And then, they chose an Ender 3, and then installing Octoprint, which is what they did there, and then backing it up, and then connecting the touchscreen. So it was dead cool. But then I got further down, and then update Octoprint and install the Touch UI plugin. And when you do that, the interface goes from looking like the regular interface to something that looks like... Hello, have we got a picture of it? Something that looks like... Oh, come on. There was I'm sure... Yeah, something that looks like that. Look. Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, so that's kind of what we want for this. But
so can you not just do what that blog post does?
So I think that's going to get me like 95% of the way there. But it might be that this doesn't give us a lot of the control that we actually need. Because I know you specifically requested to be able to like print from a file on the SD card, didn't you? And so don't know if this will do that. So I need to have a look. And so what I've been doing while all of this has been going on, and by the way, I mentioned we got round that config YAML thing by just I tweeted out about that, and then Foozle got back to me to say, well, you could just set the base directory, and it will it will put that Octoprint data directory somewhere where you know where it is. So I did that. I added it to my
Johnny Chips has said in the chat the roaming file the roaming files in profiles have some funny hidden properties. That's a bit of a tongue twister, that is, Johnny.
Yeah.
Moving files in profiles have some fun. Say that 3 times really fast. Go on.
Yeah, don't. You'll end up swearing. But I mean, I actually created an Octoprint directory, so even if it was hidden, it still wouldn't have let me create that directory because it still would have been it's the same name as an existing directory. And of course, I'm a developer, so I've got hidden files turned on. I've not got system files turned on, I don't think, but it shouldn't be at that level. So yeah, I've got no idea. There's them files are there somewhere. But once I added that extra switch to set the base directory, then it was now in repos Octoprint, which is where the base repo was, and now there's something called base dir, and that's got everything I would have expected in it, including that config.yaml, which obviously now I moved that base directory, I needed to set everything back up again. But it was interestingly, as I was setting it up, it was hitting the breakpoints that I'd set previously, which was kind of reassuring. Because that's what I would have expected. So I set it all up and then added my extra bit to the config.yaml, which is what I've been trying to do for 2 days, and then which made the config.yaml file look like that. And then when I started it up, it worked. So it was like woohoo, do a happy dance. That's live footage of me. In the panda outfit. So I wanted to take a bit because I've been doing this for 2 days. I wanted to go down a slightly different route for a minute. So I thought I'll just install Octoprint on the reterminal manually. Now I know there's something called OctoPi, which I could have used, but if I'd have installed OctoPi on there, then I would have had to reinstall or configure all of the reterminal drivers and stuff to get that working, which would have been possible. But I figured easier to do it on a device I know is already working and just install Octoprint manually. And actually, this process was dead easy. Again, Fuzel had created let me just put a link to this in the chat. Fuzel had created a nice Raspberry Pi Octoprint tutorial, so I just followed most of that, and it just worked. I've got so far down it, and I've not done this part yet. But ran on through all them commands and everything just worked, and then ran it up, and I was able to go to localhost 5000 and a VNC session, and that is what is running at the moment on the reterminal. So that's all ready for me to start up. And look, that's that restore backup. So I need to check what version I've got, but all the rest of it looks the same, but that looks new. So I might need to update already my version that I've got pulled down, but I'm not going to do that until I'm way further through this. So I need to.
This here is actually running on the reterminal now.
Yep. So that's okay. If I sort of hold this up to the screen, you'll be just about able to see it. Hold on. There we go. So that's me VNC'd in. So if I press next, you should see that switches through. So I'm not going to back it up, restore it from a backup rather. Then you've got to set up the access for that, which won't let you go past it. So I was going to run through this once I got off the stream and then install that Touch UI plugin. I was kind of hoping I would have had this done actually before I started, but
so on the reterminal, can you type in a username, or is it not going to give you an on-screen keyboard?
No, it doesn't give me an on-screen keyboard, but I have got this connected to it. So there we are. So there's no on-screen keyboard at the moment, but we won't need one, I don't think, for what we're going to use this for. We won't need a keyboard, I don't think, will we? For the most part.
I don't think you will, because it's all touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all icons and buttons. So yeah, I suppose you're right. So you could, literally in the setup, local host to it, set it up, and then you shouldn't need to touch it again.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of where I've got to with that. It's
exciting.
It is, yeah. I was actually gonna. I think I might need to. I was actually gonna finish that setup and see what it did, but.
So your plan is that it's now working on the reterminal.
Yep.
And what you want to do is create your own mixing plugin that will enable the buttons on the reterminal to do certain functions. So like maybe stop print because you've seen a crash. Pause print maybe is another one to be really good. So simple kind of things like that actually you want quick access to. Maybe you want to pause the print because you want to change the filament or the likes, or you want to pause the print because you want to drop some components inside your print. I've often done prints where I've needed metal rods in there to strengthen the print. So I kind of get it to pause at a certain level. In the process slice, you can tell it to pause at a level now. But you might do that, you used to do it by sort of washing it and pushing the pause button. But yeah, things like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, you kind of asked about that touch UI and whether or not that would actually just do everything I need. And it is possible it would, but I get the feeling it's not going to do everything. So it might get me sort of 50% or to 90% of the way there, but I don't think it's going to get me all the way. So I think I'm going to need 2 plugins. The Touch UI one will do most of the work for me, and then the one I create will inject CSS and maybe JavaScript, or possibly even HTML into the interface to add the extra stuff or remove stuff that I think is not necessary. So we'll see. You can modify that Touch UI interface as far as I think just colours are concerned. I'm not sure whether or not you can change the responsivity of the interface or what, move things around. So probably not. So that'll be something maybe the plugin I'll create will do for us.
So these plugins written in Python, they're written in HTML?
Python. Yeah, Python and JavaScript and HTML for some of the other stuff as well.
Web technologies, basically.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, the server is a Python server, and everything else that sits on top of that is HTML. So,
cool.
Yeah, look at that. So that is finished. That is. So actually, being as I've just finished doing that, we can go to settings. Scroll up. There should be a settings icon, and in fact, what is it doing? Because I think it is actually there. So announcements, settings. Where's the icon? Look, maybe it's because it's still loading.
No, because it's always been spinning that, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? So not sure why that would be. Yeah, don't know. Weird. Tell you what I'll do. I'm going to take a screenshot of that window for my for the blog. But we can insert this part into the blog. It'll be fine. So actually, what you can do then, you can scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can see virtual printer. But I'm not going to do that virtual printer for this because actually, what I want to do is connect my Ender to it and see what it does. But you can go up to Plugin Manager, which is at the top. Gone past it. Plugin Manager at the top, and then you can search for new plugins by pressing Get More. And this is where it completely destroys everything. But hello, you gonna let me press it? Yeah, there we go. It's a bit slow. I'm not quite sure why it's that slow.
It's probably because it's rendering the screen. It's talking to your connection, your VNC connection, and also trying to kind of run, a bunch of Python code.
Yeah, maybe. And also everything else that we're doing on the stream today as well. So this is installing Touch UI. I've got no idea what this will do because I've not looked any further at that blog post. So you are learning with me here.
Yeah, cool. It
that
looks exciting. I'm looking forward to being able to install one on my printers. It'd be kind of cool to have it there.
Yeah, I think, and I'm looking forward to having it because I think I'll follow the rest of that post and perhaps print a printer mount for it if nothing else, or figure out.
You need a case, do you? Just need a VESA mount, don't you? Because it's already got the screw terminals and that on the back.
Yeah, although they're not VESA as we found out, but
not VESA. Just like M5 or M6, weren't they? Or something
something like that. So I'm sure we could design something where it fits in.
Just a little bracket that holds it and a couple of screws in the back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I wonder, now that I've got that installed, can I actually... I don't see Touch UI anywhere, but it might be that I need to... You
need to reboot them after you install the plugins.
Yeah, probably do need to restart
I think... I think that the plugin might, if it's being called on,
Oh yeah, look, it says.
Yeah.
It says there, look, a restart is required. So we can do that because I've got the SSH installed down, running down here as well. So I can actually stop that and then just run it again. And then look, it's saying the server's offline, which is what you'd expect. and then that'll spin up. Actually, it should be a bit faster spinning up this time as well. The second time seems faster. I think that might actually be just about done. Yeah, so that's that part done. So theoretically, if I reload my page now, we may get a slightly different looking interface. Ooh.
Oh, it's already different. Okay. What do we got?
Nothing yet. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
So it does look different. So let's just
Look
get
very
rid of that.
different.
Yeah. So actually, we can get some idea about what it should look like if we click that full screen. And then actually, if I hold up the, there you go. So it kind of looks like that. So yeah, that's.
Awesome.
Oh look, and that's what you were talking about there. So moving it around and going up and down and turning it off. I think. Not sure what this is. Oh look, files. So this is
File manager then.
yeah, that's what you wanted, isn't it? To be able to print from files, and there's a console even by the looks of it. Look at that. That's cool.
So if you touching that, if it's a touch UI, if you touching that console.
Let's have a look. This, by the way, this fan on the back is bloody hot. Heatsink on the back. It's bloody hot. It's really hot, that is. But yeah, let's have a look. You'll have to be looking on Twitch, you pair, because my video
Yeah, I am.
on.
I'm watching Twitch.
But that's me pressing the little icon at the top, and that's it switching around. So
I think you're pretty much there.
yeah, I don't think it's that far off, really.
No, you just need to engage the buttons that are actually on the read terminal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I definitely need something for that to be able to figure out how to do that. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, so that'll be some exploration. That, but it'd be nice if you made like.
Wait, is the Touch UI an open source project?
I'll have to look. Let's have a look.
If it is, maybe you can just wire up the buttons, like fork their library, and add in some code for the read terminal buttons, and then republish that as a remix of their kind of repository, their plugin.
Yes, I happen to know that it is.
Read terminal Touch UI or something like that. So
yeah, it's here. Look, Billy Blaze.
Project. Yeah, there you go.
Actually, I've not added that to my favourites. There we are. Save that. So that's that. I'm just going to stick this in there, and I'll also put the link on the screen to that. Might drop off the edge, but it'll be okay. There we are.
It's an open source project.
Yep. So in theory, I could
quite
filter
old
that. And,
open source projects as well.
Yeah.
2 years ago, 7 years ago. So the last commit was 21. So yeah.
Yeah, I need to look at if how many forks. There's 88 forks of this, so there might be some forks that are more up to date, and I wonder what folks have done with it. So, yeah, I've not spent any time looking at this yet, but it looks perfect, doesn't it? It's kind of
looks like it'll do the job.
Yeah,
so you should be able to go in there and edit it so that you can add in just the buttons.
Yeah.
And your fork will have the buttons, and then you can put it into the. I'm not sure how they add the plugins into Octoprint. Put it in there, and it'll be a read terminal plugin that you download, and then setting up the read terminal should be fairly simple. Install Octoprint and install this plugin.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly, that's right, and that's my hope is that it's going to be as easy as that, and that's what Foozle suggested on Twitter when I first started this as well. Is look, you should be a plugin. You shouldn't be modifying our source, which is absolutely right. So that is the plan, absolutely. And then an accompanying blog post like you mentioned there. So that is it. So that's where I'm up to answer your questions. So hopefully, I mean,
awesome. I can't wait for it to be done. I'll be copying that.
Yeah, happy days. Yeah. Maybe with you and your son's 3D printing capability, or at least 3D design capability, maybe C could send you a device that you could then create a bracket for 3D printers.
I don't think it'd be too difficult to create one. It's a fairly simple kind of shape.
Yeah.
With that heatsink on the back now, depending on what temperature that gets to, we might have to think about some offsets that won't melt and won't contain the heat of the heatsink. Because if it gets too hot, you'll melt the 3D printed plastic. Because obviously, the 3D printed plastic, unless you're going to use ABS, is going to be it'll melt when you get it hot, or at least go soft and squishy.
Yeah.
So, there's ways around that. You can use like a metal offset. Like what you put underneath your motherboard of your PC.
Mm-hmm.
Use a few of those to offset the plastic from the heatsink. And that'd work perfectly.
Yeah, I agree. So there you go. So that's cool stuff. So yeah, do go check my blog out. That was this. Hold on. Oh, why doesn't Control Z work? That's just silly. Notepad you would have thought would be quite good, but it turns out that it's not as good as you'd imagine. So yeah, go check my blog post out. That should be on the screen now. There we are. So that's well worth checking that out. And moving on, that's the plugin tutorial. I sent the link to that, and then this is that how-to thing. I think I sent a link to that, maybe I didn't. Either way, that's in the chat and also on the screen, all folded over. So that's great. And then that's how to get it up and running on the Pi. But moving on to the IoT news for the week. So I spotted this. If you follow the show, you'll know that we love the RP2040. And actually, one of the creators of the RP2040 is creating a series of videos along with Element 14, which is essentially Farnell. They're sort of more customer-facing brand rather than business-facing. So there's already an existing watch-on-demand video that you can go and watch. I've not had a chance to watch it yet. Look, you even get a certificate, which is pretty cool. Look, so Roger Thornton, Raspberry Pi Director of Applications. So what better couple of folks would you get for a video like that? That's great. And then there's another one coming up on the 29th of September. GMT, this is 4 p.m. till 5 p.m. And so this is just continuing that journey. But this time we've got James Hughes, who's Principal Software Engineer. I'm not quite sure where. Maybe Raspberry Pi. I'm not sure. But yeah, either way, that's going to be worth checking out. So I'll just put the links in the chat to those two. They're going to be worth checking out. What I want, is somebody to give me a free piece of software that just Bitly's all of these. And then I could just, because if I put this in
weren't we using when we've running this before, weren't we using some URL linker thing where we just posted the link to that and it kept all the URLs?
Yeah, I think
URL list or something.
That's right. Yeah, we were.
Maybe that's easy. And you've only got one link to share then, and it's got all the links in it.
Yeah, I think we should go back to doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. I think that's that same link. So that pretty much fits on the screen, so that's okay. So yeah, I agree. There's a great YouTube video here on how to use IoT Hub device update to be able to update things like ESP32s and FreeRTOS. So that's worth checking out.
I like that one. I'm going to have to pin that myself.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just...
You might hear it start playing. Oh, no, stop. Ooh, no. Oh. No, stop.
So
we never about anything. There we go. Right, back in.
Who's that? Who's it with? Who's it with? I forget who it was actually with. Oh, it's Wellington Duras, who's fantastic. I've spoken to him a few times. He's a great guy. So, yeah, that's worth checking out. So that's the IoT show without Olivier Bloch. Or
no, what's going on?
Exactly. So I'm not entirely sure.
Olivier's been doing lots of stuff out and about in Redmond recently, hasn't he? With his wife's business. So
yeah,
maybe he's on holiday or something.
That's Vanessa Villa. Okay, yeah, awesome. So so that's going to be worth going and checking out that one as well. And then it's the Edge Impulse Imagine conference starting on the 28th to the 30th of September as well. And that's going to be everything to do with machine learning and AI and things like that. And there's going to be some fantastic speakers at that event as well. So it might be well worth checking that out while you're at it. So
I'll sadly not be around then. I'll be at the NDC conference in Oslo.
Nice.
Another one to shout out. I'm giving a talk there. So yeah, if you're not watching the Edge Impulse then and you're in Oslo, come along and watch that instead. But Edge Impulse, I've been playing with it this week and trying to get my little ESP32 working on Edge Impulse. But I hit some barriers and run out of time, and yeah, things didn't go so well. So
that's a shame.
Yeah, sadly. I was kind of hoping to have something for this week's show to show off, but what you have to do is, because they've built a firmware set for the ESP32i, which is the older version of this. You have to go in there and change the pinouts that's used for the on the ribbon cable here. The pinouts that's used for the camera, and to do that, you have to build your own version of the firmware. You have to go into CMake files and the likes and set it all up. And
Bye, Johnny.
I just could not get it to build. It kept falling over at the same point, and I struggled, and I spent a good day on it and got nowhere fast. So it's something that's on my go back to in a minute kind of list when I get a few moments. But I was nearly there. It was all kind of going so well, but sadly it didn't work.
That's a shame.
Hey ho. We'll have to. Johnny's off already. See that, Johnny?
We'll have to live debug it on the show, eh? So that's cool. Yeah. So hopefully
Jim's on there as well. Jim Bennett's on there.
He is a friend of the show. Jim Bennett, awesome guy. So yep. And then moving up, there's these wrap-ups that if you join the Seed community, they do a monthly wrap-up with a whole heap of interesting stuff in there. So there's just various different links to bits of posts. So NVIDIA and Seed there, and online TinyML stuff here, and which would be a bit like what you'll be doing with Edge Impulse, will be TinyML. So it's well worth checking that out as well. So that's a big long post there. So
the fact you're going to LinkedIn now, I think you'd accidentally left open a recruiter page or something. Some recruiter was tracking you down.
You've
got this awesome job. It pays between £10 and £40,000, and it'd be perfect for you. And please come and call us.
Yeah. No, you're all right. Thanks. Yeah. Some links here from Maria Anastasia as well in the middle of this. So Maria Anastasia, if you wanted to talk about this,
I see this pop up my email. I showed my kids this morning, and then Maria sent it on our little kind of Twitter kind of behind the scenes chat thingy, and I was like, gosh, you beat me. But it's awesome. You might as well talk about this, Maria Anastasia, because you've done this more than I have, and you've worked on the bigger projects as well, haven't you?
Yeah, today the mission Space Lab that is the most difficult one started for this year. So I think to share it, because if any of the audience has a kid or wants to be a mentor, in this link is all the information. It's a great challenge, and the successful teams will win this free kit.
What I'd like to know where they're managing to find these Raspberry Pis, and how they're managing to buy these Raspberry Pis to give away as free kits. Because I mean that's like gold dust there, that little box.
Yep. Every now and again, just recently, somebody approached me on Twitter and said, "Have you got one spare?" And I went, "No." And so I went and had a look on the Pi Hut, and they had some in stock randomly. So they're probably not in stock now. But yeah, I could have bought one if I wanted to. But I'm not greedy. I've got one. So I wonder which. Yes, I wonder which version of the Sense Hat this is that it says it comes with, because there's a new one, isn't there, Maria Anastasia? There's a new Sense Hat.
Yeah, I think that The past year was new. I don't know if that it's new again. I think.
Yeah, it's just the V2 one, but it's got a bunch of extra stuff, hasn't it? It's got like a depth sensor and color sensors and stuff like that. So that's actually SenseHat version 1 on the screen. Let's see if I can find version 2.
Yeah, I think that last year was version 2 as well.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but
SenseHat. That's just still the same
one.
version. It is, yeah, but there is a new version that I don't know. Maybe you can't buy it yet.
Maybe the only way you can get it is. But then, how would you?
Well, it was this, but it did a bunch of extra stuff. SenseHat version 2, so
Hello luminosity.
yeah, that's
red
it.
sensor.
Yeah, all of that.
Humidity, temperature, pressure.
That's
You've got BMH on there.
I think that's all of that lot was on V1. All of that.
Yeah.
But it was this color and infrared and luminosity, which was really cool. Obviously, Maria on the stage. Do you want to explain a bit more about what that AstroPi project is letting folks do?
yeah, these AstroPi modules are basically Raspberry Pis with some extras, and there are some on a I don't know how we could tell in English where these are located.
In NASA space station.
Yeah, they're on the
Yeah.
space station. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's two of them up there.
In NASA space station.
Yes.
Yeah, and kids had to choose the mission they want. There are two missions. One that it's simple, and one that it's a little difficult. Difficult. And they have missions, Space Lab and Mission Zero.
Yep.
In Mission Zero, they had to write a simple code to select some data from the AstroPi module, something like humidity, temperature, and when the program will run in the AstroPi, kids will receive a mail that shows when the space station, again, AstroPi was this exact moment. So it's very nice.
It shows like a picture of a globe, doesn't it? And a little trace of line where when your code was running. Your code, is it? I can't remember how long your code has to run within 30 seconds or something, isn't it?
Yeah, 30 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, you get 30 seconds. Your code has to start up, run, do what it needs to do, and then you get shut down after 30 seconds, and then next child or team's code runs. But you get a certificate. It's brilliant. My kids got a couple now because they've done it.
And for Mission Zero, there are very helpful instructions. The ones that the Pits is showing right now. So it's very easy for I think for kids. The next mission, the next one, I have sent a link, the next link that that have the results of the last year's mission. And if you scroll a little, there are some pictures from the space. Yeah. Here are some of the
Wow.
results. Yeah, are very exciting.
Yeah, that's identifying seaweed rafts during a 3-hour experiment, which is,
Wow.
it's allowing children to be able to run code and experiments on the space station. I mean, what better motivation do you need to get folks interested in this sort of technology, programming, and things like that? When you tell them it's going to run on the space station, and you can now, with the power of this new upgraded SenseHat, you can make really valuable projects. So I think there's going to be some cool science done by children and young adults.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can, as Maria Anastasia says, you can set yourself up to become a mentor or a project leader on these sorts of things. They're often run in schools, but also Maria Anastasia, you run it as part of your class, don't you?
Yeah, we ran the mission 0 because my kids was at their first year of robotics.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my students um, took part with another team in this challenge. And if you scroll a little more down, you will find out that here, I think, uh,
Nope.
this was his team that has very
Peace Spy.
good. Yeah, the next that organization said Coder Dojo Botanicos.
Oh, there.
Oh,
There.
Yeah.
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 Is that your Coder Dojo?
No, my Coder Dojo is a Coder Dojo Roads,
Ah. Yeah.
but we are friends with Botanicos.
Okay.
So I send my students in that team.
Very cool. And what did they do? Can you click through to that, Pete? Is there a link there? What did they build?
Yeah.
Yeah, report outline.
Collaboration with Iraq as well. How cool is that?
Hmm.
Method for experiment, use a Raspberry Pi camera, which makes sense. Open up the photos and paint. Found the same Google map and divided these two measurements, which is cool. Experiment results. Images with clear formations that could be used for measurements. There we are. Difficult to identify some places on Earth based on the coordinates yet. Managed to find them after a lot of attempts to zoom in and out. I can imagine how hard that would be. Children had exams, which is a shame. A Windows PC didn't display the entire coordinates information. Interesting. Mac PC did. Wonder what that meant. Learned how to find places on Earth based on the coordinates, how to measure distances. That's mega. That is, isn't it? How cool is that?
Cool, but
Yeah.
so at the bottom there, they're saying 124 meters per pixel.
Oh yeah, there we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the photos refer to different places, but yeah, I like that. That's mega, and I like the fact they make these reports
really
as well.
Cool projects.
Yeah, I like that.
Well done to them. Congratulations. Not just this team, but all the teams. They did. Looks like they've done an awesome job. And your kids in school. I mean, you have to be under 19 to enter. But that's kind of cool what they're doing. And to say that your code, your projects has run on International Space Station, you can't really say that you've written code that's out of space.
Yeah.
Out of this world. You can put that in your CV. My code is out of this world.
Yeah,
a bit
literally.
like Dylan Beatty and his rock style programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, so they're really cool links, Maria and Anastasia. Thanks for sending them along.
Awesome.
And yeah, definitely go get involved in that. There's a new Pi Camera 2 release as well here, and that's
I spotted that myself as well.
yes. What it's got with it is Numpy, I think it's called, which means that you can start doing TensorFlow stuff. So it's got Numpy look. Making it natural to use with OpenCV, TensorFlow, and other Python libraries, which is really cool. And in fact, there we are. Look, so it's identifying dogs in a photo. So, I mean, this is pretty powerful stuff, actually. And I know there's a little bit of a crossover with Edge Impulse there as well. But yeah, so that's I like that. And this comes in. Go on.
I was saying it's quite impressive, but I did see someone tweet the picture of the two dogs again and said it looks like it's found. Is this a hot dog or not a classifier? Because it looks like two hot dogs.
Yeah.
Like literally two hot dogs. Ooh. I thought it was quite funny. I giggled anyway. So.
Yeah, I like that. Interestingly as well, I don't know if it says it in any of these links across here, but there's been a new release of, and in fact, if I've not got this on here, which is crazy, but there's been a new release of Raspbian recently as well, and they've had some cool things added to it. In fact, when you click the start, or the little Raspberry start button, you can actually search in that menu now, which is pretty powerful actually. It's something we take for granted with Windows, but
a la Windows 11.
Yeah, Raspbian. What is it? Let's just put search update. See if it comes up. No, it's not going to be as easy to find as that. I don't know why I've not got it added to my my list here, but maybe it says it here somewhere about the fact that it's been added in the latest Raspberry Pi updates. But yeah, it's that's pretty cool actually. Some of this stuff, so I like that. Moving on. Oh look. That you sent this as well, didn't you, Maria Anastasia? This squishy circuits.
Yeah. Because we talked about the TEDx the past week. I remember a amazing TEDx talk for electronics that explains how plasticine. Am I tell it right?
Plasticine, yeah.
Plasticine, yeah, can be used as a breadboard, and yeah, it's. I didn't knew it before.
That's a clever idea.
Yeah.
I seem to remember reading about that actually. There you go.
Especially for kids in kindergarten or.
Look at that.
Wow.
Mega. Yeah.
And in this video, Anne-Marie told the recipe of this plasticine, so we can make it.
I like it.
Have you done this, Maria Anastasia? Have you made some of this plasticine or not?
No, I watched this 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So maybe this year I will do this project.
Yeah, cool.
There we go. Yeah. Here's the recipe. Just about to put it on the screen here. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea because the reason why I love IoT is that it's a hands-on and a visual and a material thing you're making. But to do it like this, that just takes that to another level. I like that. It doesn't actually explain what it is.
I want to see this one. I'm going to have to play with this one.
Yes, there you go. So that is the link to that. So yeah, definitely have a play with that one. That is cool. I like that. So moving on.
Stop. God. Do it again.
ESP hosted simplifies adding Wi-Fi connectivity to legacy Linux or MCU based projects. So they've got this Wi-Fi module already built in, but I think it just makes it a bit easier rather than using AT commands. So ESP Wi-Fi.
There's a lot of boards that use an ESP32 for doing exactly this. You look at the Meadow board; it's got the Meadow F7 chip front and center, but then it's got an ESP32 sitting in the corner that's just doing the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So it's done quite often. It's quite a clever way of doing things. Why reinvent the wheel? So yeah. If you don't know what a Meadow F7 is, head out to Wilderness Labs. You'll be impressed. C#.net on a small little board. They're very impressive.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Yep. Wireless water tank controller. An ESP-based wireless setup allows the remote tank sensing and pump operation, which I thought. What sparked my interest is this PCB, that looks like, and I don't think it's mentioned anywhere, a homemade PCB. That is.
It does look very homemade, doesn't it? Home etched.
Yeah, I used to make these when I was. I used to work for a company that was at Loughborough University, and I used to make the PCBs for that company. I used to design them and etch them and drill them and everything, and that looks exactly like that. And I've always thought about like doing it at home, but actually the biggest problem is disposing of the chemicals, and also if you've got children around.
I've done it at home a few times, and then what I've done is put the chemicals into a plastic container and took it to the local council tip. But they have a specifically, or our local one has anyway, a specific place where you go and put chemicals and that, and you kind of, they put a little sticker on the side and you write roughly what's in it.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down, and then it gets disposed of, and it's, they do it free of charge.
Free?
Yeah, you just drop the bottle off and off you go. Like, so it's the same place where you go and drop off if you like change the oil on your car. You go along and you there. If it's oil, you just chip it into a big container, and you take your one home. But if it's something else, you can just literally drop it off. Our local one anyway, you can just drop it off and you tell them roughly what's in it, and they dispose of it. I think the idea is they don't want you pouring it down the drain, do they?
No, exactly. Yeah,
chemicals are pretty horrid. But I've done exactly this. I used to design my circuits, and then at work I would print off the circuits because I had onto acetate, because they had a laser printer at work, and I didn't have one at home and couldn't afford one. And then go and iron the acetate onto my board. That's my copper face board. And then the ink from the laser printer would stick to the copper board. And then you could etch it, and stick it in the chemicals and that, and off you went. And what was left was the traces where you covered it with ink. And worked great. It's always a bit messy. You'd have to bridge a solder if you did the track too thin, and if you left it to etch too long, it'd get underneath the ink and stuff like that. You had to solder bridge it and stuff like that. But it's a great way to make your own boards when there wasn't these fantastic services like there is now. I'm talking, over 20 years ago now.
Yeah, likewise.
Actually, way over 20 years ago.
You'd never know.
Yeah, way over 20 years ago. Yeah.
Arduino Nano here, powering something that I'd never heard of before, a reverse Polish notation calculator. Have you ever heard of a reverse Polish notation calculator?
I've heard of reverse Polish notation, but I've not heard of it being a calculator.
Yeah, never even heard of that. I think I went and had a look at it, and then I don't think I could figure out exactly what it was. But geez, I remember these calculators. I kind of wish I'd not got rid of, because I had a few of these. I'm sure I had the Sinclair calculator at one point, and it would have been got rid of because it probably didn't work. So it's pretty cool actually, and all the source code's available and everything. I keep forgetting to keep updating the link on the screen. This looks pretty cool. And anything that you take one of these old devices and you stick something new like that inside it, I always quite like. But the impetus for this build to replace a particular calculator, the TI programmer, Texas Instruments calculator, and then and not all blah 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 in there. So that's pretty cool.
Quite impressive.
Well, it takes some working out, that does. Raspberry Pi Pico, again, we like anything RP2040 based. This is using the latest Pi Pico W, and it's a ULISP powered wireless display. And look at this. How cool is that? I love those Starburst displays. Mega. So it's got like full design for it as well. Yeah, so this will be sitting there on the network, and you can put it somewhere, and then you'll be able to send the message to it to actually get it over an HTTP GET by the looks of it. Actually get it to display on that display. I always want to put one on the boot of my car telling tailgaters to do one.
Off.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Did you see this Doom Fist?
I see this, and I went and showed my kids. My boys were, that's awesome, Dad, make one. I was like, no.
It was mega. I loved that. I mean, how cool a project is that? Just awesome.
Wow.
And it doesn't look 3D printed either.
No.
So it looks like they've made it out of something, but it doesn't look 3D printed at all.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Loved that. So yeah, that was mega cool.
It's an advert I work in prop creation that's in some Hollywood studios, isn't it? That's what that is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that person needs a job working in that. So.
I see this one. You're about to think. I thought instantly of Maria Anastasia and a robot car.
So here in Greece, it's still summer.
Oh, you've been to the beach. You understand?
Yeah.
Here it's raining. Like right now, it's raining.
I spend all of my weekend at the beach, so.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Next week.
Life first, Maria Anastasia. Life first. But yeah, deep PCAR micro squeezes on ML and deep learning stuff onto an RP2040, which is just incredible. Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably talking about the fact that it's going to be constrained in here as well. Tested carried out on a real world track, so good accuracy. So I'd love to have some time to actually dive in to see what they've actually done with that, because that's pretty cool. But this sounds like perhaps one direction, Maria Anastasia, for you to look at, because strapping a full-on Raspberry Pi to the top of a robot is just going to sap whatever battery you put on there pretty quick, or you're going to have to put a big battery on it and your robot's not going to be able to move. But this, obviously, it's going to be lower powered, but it's going to be lower powered as well. So this looks like the way to go. And obviously that's the battery pack in there underneath, and they're just powering it from the USB on the back of that, I think. So yeah, I think that's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, I will leave that one with you, Maria Anastasia, till next week. And then
take it to the beach and build it on the beach. There you go.
Yeah, that'll work. And then along the same lines, another tiny ML. So Pico, by the looks of it. Save those, copy that, and I can stick that up on the screen. I'm only bitly in the ones that don't fit on the screen, because some of these URLs are huge. But using CircuitPython, this compact machine learning project takes camera input and looks for digits to classify, which I thought was quite a cool project. Look, so that's looking at that too, and classifying it on the screen. So this is a pretty cool project. And actually, some of these projects aren't necessarily what will pique your interest. It's like, oh, look, this is a camera connected to a Pico. How do I do that? Just that all on its own, because look, there's a lot of wires to connect a camera to a Pico by the looks of it. So yeah, well worth checking projects like that out to be able to see sort of how the hardware works, apart from anything. How to connect an OLED as well, and then drive that. So did it say what language this was running in? CircuitPython. So yeah, really, really accessible stuff as well. So yeah, well worth checking that one out. Any macro keypads, we love that. I mean, obviously I'm using one that I created with some help from Cliff and his son as well. Yeah, so this is lovely looking. I really like that. So what do they call it? Cotton candy coloured. To be able to do some macro work, exactly the same as the Pico will be working there. Down here, the Pico Stream Deck that I've created. So yeah, well worth checking that one out. Let's put the link over here in the chat. I think this one will fit just about with some wrapping on my thing. Yeah, that just about fits. So you should be able to see that. So well worth check that out. And also, I scrolled down, I'd look at the comments. Don't be this person. Yeah, you told you to say nothing. So why even comment? What is that doing? That's just, don't be like that. We do not like folks that do that. So
don't be Bruce.
Yeah, no, exactly. So Bruce, go do one and be nice instead. So yeah, I like that. So, but look at this. It's
what's the rotating knob for?
I've just spotted that.
Is that an encoder? Is it a variable potentiometer?
Well, it says to pay homage to. Sorry, Marie, go on.
It looks like a potentiometer.
Yeah. I'm thinking potentiometer or rotary encoder, one of the two.
So look, see if the
rotary encoder. It said it there at the bottom of the paragraph.
Okay. So look. Oh.
So it'd be an AB, like just where it says check out the repo, that line there, handy rotary encoder volume knob.
That's cool. And it will mute and unmute when you click it. I like that.
Oh, yeah, because a lot of them have a push to click, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there must be there'll be an actual topper for that at some point. But yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And look, multicolored 3D prints are always really cool as well. I think could you?
What they've done though is they've hardwired the buttons direct to the board, to the GPIO, general purpose input output pads on the RP2040.
Yeah.
But when you built yours, Pete, you created a board with that drove the LEDs as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
So the LED outputs went via. Did you? I've forgotten what you did there. You went via a resistor built-in resistor bridge, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
cool.
That was such a cool project. I think I've forgotten a lot of what I did, but that was pretty.
You wrote a handy blog post about it, and it's on your GitHub.
Yes, so it's all there for everyone to see. Chess cheating gadget made with a Raspberry Pi Zero. So this actually went in this guy's shoe, as far as I could work out.
I see this on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah, subtle way to cheat at chess.
Yeah.
So slow and difficult to use. The only part of the body that any sensible degree of dexterity while you're being invisible to casual observers. Studies design has been online for a while, went viral, blah blah blah. So is it this? Came up with this new way to win at chess. Project called Sockfish because it was able to operate stockfish in your socks. Feet are ideal. Prior to phones being taped to legs and stuff like that. So how did it? Maybe you had to tap or something like that. Shoe inserts two force sensing resistors and one vibration motor. Force sensing resistors uses buttons to allow me to input my opponent's moves. I mean, geez, we've all tried operating the radio in our car and not look at it, and we just don't get the radio station we want. So this is enormously difficult, but I guess profitable perhaps if you wanted to take it that far, but. Yeah, you could use it for anything is quite right because you just change the code, but you've got the actual hardware and geez. That's mental. Here's the
You'll have kids making this for their maths exam.
Yeah, imagine. But yeah,
Buzz to pass if they make one of these.
Yeah. So I liked that. Just on a personal note, every now and again I'll get a tweet like this about folks that.
George.
Yeah, I like that. And these are really nice. I mean, these make my day when I see these. When I see folks who have passed the AZ220 Microsoft IoT Developer Certification, and they credit the work that myself and a few other Pluralsight authors have done. Sadly, our courses are going to be delisted soon, come Christmas, from Pluralsight, which is massively sad because Pluralsight went and bought a Cloud Guru, and they already had a course and they prefer that one. And so these are going to get delisted. It's really sad. They'll still be available, but it's just they won't appear in search results. And whether or not but essentially for each view, us authors get royalties. So that will just plummet straight down. And it's not a huge amount of money, but it's money nonetheless each month that would be coming in that I'm no longer going to be getting. So I'm a bit sad about that. And also the work that we've done to make this awesome course, and it's just going to disappear. So yeah, it's sad.
You looked at the Cloud Guru one to see why they think it's better. Is it just the way it's presented, or is the content updated, or is it
It's different to what we've done. What we've done is specifically target the exam, and as far as I can work out, the A Cloud Guru course, while still good, is broader and not specifically targeted. I think. Personally, because I'm going to say this, I think they made a mistake. I think they should be keeping ours around because I think it's a slightly different course to what they're replacing it with. But we can't have everything, and nothing lasts forever, and all of those things. But the views are still good. We still get quite a lot of views every month on this, so it sort of shows that it's still being used. And both courses are there, so it'd be interesting to see what the difference in views. Maybe ours are really low compared to the other course. It's possible, I guess, but yeah, hard to know. But sad nonetheless for Jürgen and James and Reza and folks like that. So yes, Mike Bell. Every time I read this headline, I think it says Misha Bell. I've got a friend called Misha Bell. She's a recruiter for Rebel in Nottingham, and a wonderful person. But every time I see that, I think it's her. But more Raspberry Pi Pico stuff. But look at this, steampunk Raspberry Pi Pico though. So how cool is that?
That is cool.
Oh, there we are. Look.
Steam engine running. Woohoo! All that works, power lamp.
Yeah, I love it. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So next is some more stuff, including a dot matrix display breakout and stuff like that.
From Pimoroni, I did spot that.
Oh yeah, steam powered Raspberry Pi.
A Brit, because they're shopping at Pimoroni.
Oh, that's too big.
I don't need to enter my credit card details anymore. They just know.
So let's just.
If you've not heard of Pimoroni, if you need any IoT stuff, Pimoroni's got you covered. They are awesome.
Yes, agreed. And the Pi Hut. I love both of them. To be fair, I think they're both awesome. So that link is above there for that. So do check that one out. EtherSweep, an easy to deploy Ethernet connected stepper motor. So this has got, I think it's got, what did it say it's got? I forget which the chip was when I looked at this. It's strapped on the back of it.
NEMA 17 motors. NEMA's like a size standard for stepper motors.
Right.
So it's got the WizNet 5500, which is a little little board that you have an Ethernet connector on there, and it converts it into serial comms.
Okay.
So I've used quite a few of those. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That is. I like that.
Yeah. Oops. So let's put the link for that in the chat. Might fit. Let's have a look, see if that fits. Yeah, there you are. Just about fits on the screen over there. So check that one out. New Azure Stream Analytics September 22 update, including a 45% performance gain in stream processing, which is huge. Obviously, what that means is less money. Yeah, performance means it's going to be spending less time doing it, so it's going to cost you less to do it. So that's a pretty big. There's a pretty big increase. You can sort of see, look, the difference between before.
They've found like a not a memory leak, but they've found like a something that's been holding it up, haven't they? And
yeah.
They've done a bug fix and realised that the performance has gone through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. And then some improved monitoring and some query editor improvements as well. So it's worth checking that one out. That's
I'm quite liking the stream analytics stuff. It's quite impressive stuff. I mean, it's play with it.
I need to spend more. I never have enough time to spend time looking at it.
I've only messed around with it and played with it and sent some data in and tinkered and played. I've not used it in anger on a project, but I can imagine where this could be used and could be an awesome bit of kit. If you're interested, come along to IoTWalive 2 long haul.
Flight into IoT. Flight into
IoT 2.
Yes.
Yeah, some point in November. Watch this space.
Yep.
Where Sander. Ta-da!
There he is.
Yeah. That was I didn't even know that was coming. I managed to link that up. Sander is awesome. Writes some amazing blog posts. He's going to do a little bit about stream analytics on Flight into IoT 2. At least we think it's Sander. We're still trying to sort out the calendar, the timeline of who's doing what. But so cool.
Yeah, so he's talking about the new Azure Data Explorer. So if you didn't know, Time Series Insights has been deprecated. That's disappearing soon. And the replacement for that is Azure Data Explorer. And it's not fully featured yet, but it's pretty much there. And so he's talking here about how you could use blob storage with Azure Data Explorer. Sander is prolific. His blog posts, if I was going to set a company up, his name would be right near the top of any list of IoT devs. I'd just get him along because he's that good. And we must have him on the show at some point, actually.
You must, yes, yeah.
So,
Time Series Insights is, I think it's March 24th, I think it was, I read the other day.
Yeah, not long.
So you got a bit of time if you're still using it, but obviously, you need to switch across at some point. I'm not sure how easy or hard the transition is going to be, whether they've got an automated tool that will help you. maybe that is something we could ask Sander to see if he can show us how to switch from one to the other.
Yep.
Sander, you're watching? Please let us know.
Yeah. So that's cool. That was the code for the Touch UI, and then that was that. So that's the end of the links. So
awesome.
So we got to the end of the show, and we're only 25 minutes over time. So
we're getting better. We're getting better.
Maria Anastasia isn't fully asleep this time; she's just nodding off. So tune in next week to see where I get to with the rest of this.
We'll just follow you on Twitter.
That too. Follow me on Twitter.
The underscore codes.
Yeah, that one. You can see us. In fact, if we switch over to our to this and turn that off, then so you can just look down here and you can follow all three of us. In fact, definitely do that because we all produce some awesome content. I am very sad that we won't be seeing your Aurora Borealis, as we said last week, anymore. But I think you did your last trip to Seattle, didn't you, just the other day, Cliff?
It's Houston.
Oh, was it Houston you went to? Yeah.
Yeah, Houston I was coming back from. I'm not saying you're not going to see it. It's just it's going to be a lot harder to see it because rather than flying up across Iceland and Greenland on the way back from somewhere in the US and Canada, I'm now going to be sort of whizzing around Europe, and you're at more southerly latitudes, so you don't get to see it as often, and you're not flying during the middle of the night when it's dark and the Aurora Borealis is in full effect. I'm going to be on short haul for a few years. I've got a command course, which means I'll become a captain and sit in the left-hand seat rather than the right-hand seat and command the aircraft. I've got that course coming up in October. So, yes, I've got that to look forward to and head in the books and learn how to fly an Airbus again, which is a bit different to a Boeing. Follow along the fun. I'll tweet the bits that I'm allowed to tweet, and I can tweet and stuff like that. But you can follow along on my Twitter, which is down there, and follow along the fun. And in between, still prepping for the flight into IoT 2 long haul. Just as I moved to short haul, we're doing one about long haul. But I'll still be setting up and getting things going for that as well. So that should be good fun.
Yeah, awesomeness. So, we'll leave it like that, and hopefully, I think I should be around next Tuesday. So,
Anastasia is going to be along with a robot car.
Oh, yes.
She's going to build on the beach and send her pictures of building it on the beach.
Yeah.
And it should be. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Driving around the dunes on the beach and stuff like this. Yeah, should be
good.
Yay. I like it. Very good. Yeah, so we'll catch you all next week. So see you again soon. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye now.
Bye.